Miss Connie is, unless she's running late. We'll go ahead and get started because I got 2 sections to cover. Pretty short, but I think it's 6.3 and 6.5 or 6.2 and 6.4 or something like that. We'll cover them, and that'll be your first test, Unit 2, your first test. There's going to be 2 tests. Let me go ahead and put it on the board because I'm on. I think it's called Unit 6.1, 6.5. I think that's what it's called, Unit 2 test, something like that. And that'll cover 6.1, 6.2. I have to do this because somebody will go, whoa, 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 whoa. So I have to do this. 6.5. I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm just reminding the DAs of the class. The second test is called Unit 2 test, and it'll say 6.6 test or something like that. Unit 2 6 test. And that'll cover graphing, or it'll say graphing. Unit 2 graphing. Yes, and that'll cover 6.6. So you got 2 tests in this unit. Okay. And I'll probably assign both of them next week because I'm going to be covering graphing, or this week I'm going to be covering graphing Wednesday, and I'll be finishing up this unit. I'm going to finish this unit today, 6.4 and 6.2. I think that's the 2 sections I'm covering today. One is on formulas, the other one's on variation. So you need to write that down so you don't get all confused, because there's only one more section that we need to cover, because I'm going to put y'all on autopilot for Unit 3. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now if I haven't already done it. I can't remember if I've done it yet or not. The Unit 3 test is pretty much autopilot. Did I tell y'all this at the first of the semester? I don't go over Unit 3 because, I'm sorry, but I think y'all know what a triangle is, and I think y'all know what a square is, and I think y'all know what a line is. I feel like Unit 3 is autopilot. But what I do, what section is Unit 3? Somebody tell me right quick. Somebody look on the outline. What chapter? 7 and 8. What section? 7 what? 7.1. Okay, so 1 through 4 in chapter 7. What about 8? 1.1. Okay, so it's 4, chapter 7, and 3. So let's look at those tests, and I'll go ahead and open those up. So y'all will have those where you can work on them. And they'll be due until the last day of the, I'll go ahead and bring them in. Let's see, import. Yes. There it is. I'll go ahead and import all of them. Graph B, A, that's what there's 2 tests right there. And then Unit 3, that's autopilot. Unit 4 we're going to go over next. Exam. Okay. Now I'll take this one off. This one off. this. No, we don't have this question down. And last, let's see, what's today? Today is March. I'll give y'all the last day of class, and I think that is April 25th, right? I'll give you the first. I think the next week is exams. When is exams? Somebody tell me that day. It's on your test. What are they? Sorry, to the what? It goes to the 3rd. So I'll make that to the 3rd. Save and assign. So now when you go to test, that Unit 3 test will be ready for you to take whenever you want to after you finish the homework. When you look over the homework, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's pretty. For the first 2 semesters, I taught 155. I went over it, and it was like I was insulting the class's intelligence, and I really don't want to do that. But I'll go over any questions that y'all have over it. Just send them to me. Ask my instructor, and I'll go over them. Where's the assignments? There it is. And test. Oh, I need to give you the homework too. And there's the Unit 3. So let me go do the homework for you right quick. And therefore you'll have it. And also, I think y'all got 6.4 and 6.5. I should have that assigned. Yeah. So there it is. 7. We said 7.1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 8.1, 2, and 3. And I'll give y'all until the last day of exams for that also. April, May the what, 3rd? Oh, you need to assign. Now when you go to your assignments, it should be on there. Yep. Unit 3. And there's the Unit 3 test that goes through. And you've got Unit 2, 6.2, 6.1 through 6.5. So the only thing I haven't unloaded is 6.6, and I'll load that up after I cover it. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover formulas, and we're going to cover direct variation or variation. All right. Formulas. There's 2 types of formula problems. There is the plug and chug. And then there is the solve. Okay. Most of you I'll probably give you 1 of each on the test, if not 2 of each. So I'm not talking about a lot of problems. Here's the plug and chug. If a area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 base times the height, B is equal to 4 and H is equal to 8. So what do you do with B and H? What do you do with 4 and 8? Plug them in. So the area of a triangle with a base of 4 feet and a height of 8 feet is 1/2 times 4 over 1 times 8 over 1. Now the reason I made everything a fraction is to bring back your fraction rules of multiplication. And that 2 will cancel. That'll be 2 times 8 is what? 16. And the area of that triangle is equal to 16. And I'll say foot here and feet here. So if we square feet. Now that is plug and chug. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because we've already spent time on that. In what section? 6.1. Evaluate and determine. What does the words evaluate and determine mean? Plug and what? Chug. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because we've already done it. I'll do one more for you. Perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 2L plus 2W. L is equal to 12. W is equal to 5. And we plug and chug. 2 times 12 plus 2 times 5. 24 plus 10 is equal to what? 34, and if this is feet, this is feet. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the first type of formula problems because in 6.1 you've already done. And if you look back at your 6.1 homework, you've actually done some formulas in your 6.1 homework. So 6.1 and the first part of 6.2 is the same stuff. Okay? Now, the second part of 6.2, the solving formulas, is what you're going to see in science. Whether you've taken a science with your degree or whether you're going to quit and come back 3 years from now and change majors, or whether you're going to get your degree now, then go work and quit and come back and take more science. If you take a science, you're going to have to learn to solve for variables. What do you mean solve? Get the variable you want by what? By itself. You know, we learned how to get, I didn't spell variable, variable. In algebra, we learned how to solve for x. Well, with the solving formulas, you're going to get the y by itself, or get the x by itself, or get the q by itself. So let's take a look at A is equal to 1/2. Oh Lord, I can't write today. 1/2 base times the height. And they're going to ask you to solve for H. Or solve for B. Whichever. They're going to tell you that. The first thing you do with formulas, clear any fractions or what? Or decimals. I showed you how to do that where? 6.3. So clear any fractions or decimals. Second, solve for the variables. Now a lot of you are saying, like, well, that ain't a big deal, it's just 2 rules. Yeah, but if you don't do this first rule and you have a fraction in there, you just bits and chains. It's an extra function. So what do you do if you have a fraction? You get rid of it. Therefore, it's not as painful. So in this case, A is equal to 1/2 base times the height. Now I taught you in 6.3 that if you want to clear the fraction, to multiply by the what? Common denominator. Put a baby step in there. 2 over 1. 2 over 1. A over 1 equals 1/2 base times the height. And what happens to our 1/2 and our 2 over 1? Cancels out to be 1. Okay. And this basically is 2a. So you get 2a is equal to base times height. And which one are we solving for? We're solving for h. So that means I've got to get rid of multiplying by b. How do you get rid of multiplying by b? That's a question for y'all. It's not rhetorical. How do you get rid of multiplying by b? All I heard was, that's all I heard. I didn't hear anything out. What's that? How do I get rid of multiplying by b? How do you undo an operation? How do you undo multiplication? Divide by b. Do I do it on one side? Do I do it on the other? So h is equal to 2a over and make sure you can solve for a variable. If I was to put a question off the 6.2 on the test, it would be one of these. I'd rather put one of these than none of the other ones because 6.1, that's the whole section of 6.1. So if I go through and I'm picking out problems out of 6.2, I'm not going to give you a problem out of 6.1 that you've already done. I'll give you one of these. And leave the 6.1 questions up to 6.1. All right? Let's try the other one that I gave you. Perimeter. Perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. And I want you to solve for W. I'm sorry, W. Don't know where you're from. Solve for W. All right, do it. There's no fractions here, so you don't have to worry about doing the first one. So, how do you get rid of 2L when you're adding 2L? You subtract 2L. Because what's in front of that 2? A positive. So, how do you get rid of a positive 2L? You subtract 2L. I love the ones that go, you divide by 2L. No, you're wrong. P minus 2L is equal to 2W. Now, how do I get rid of multiplying by 2? Thank you. Appreciate the interaction and the enunciation instead of W is equal to P minus 2L over 2. And that's how you do solving for a variable. Question. Now that's 6.2. There's a meeting going on right now, and I'm having to do two things at one time. That's why I'm texting. I'm not texting being rude. There's a meeting going on downstairs, and they told me they would text me if they had any questions. It's about the Polycom, about the video class I told you about, and they're texting me questions if I have any questions. If they have any questions for me. So that's why I'm texting. All right. So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone, or trying to be in two places at one time. All right. Now, 6.4, I think it is, or you just find it, is on variation. Variation, basically the whole thing about variation is finding K. K is called the constant. Okay? If I give you a recipe, and the recipe makes 12 cookies, and then I tell you I want 24 cookies, what would you do with the recipe? Why? Yep. Or you could say 24 divided by 12 is equal to 2, and then you multiply everything by 2, right? What if I said I want 36 cookies? Divide by 36 divided by 3, and you 36 divided by 12 is 3, and you multiply everything by 3. Well, what if I wanted 57 cookies? Well, you just make 64, and then you just eat the rest of them. No. What the whole point is you found the first one to be 24 divided by 12, and that's equal to 2, so you learned to double the recipe. 36 divided by 12 is 3, so you tripled the recipe. Good job. I'm so proud of you. 57, I think I said 57, 56, whatever. Over 12, somebody do that on your calculator right quick. What do you get? There'll be a decimal. What is it? 4.75. So you would take your calculator and you would multiply 4.75 times each one of your ingredients, right? That's what you're doing. This is K. What is K? A number that you what? You find it, and then you what? Multiply by it. Remember that. You find it, and then you multiply by it. Remember that. You find it, and you multiply by it. And that's the whole purpose of this section. The next time people see this section is in college algebra and in calculus. But most of the time, a lot of highway patrolmen use it. What do highway patrolmen use at the scene of a wreck? Most than anything. They use this more than anything. What? I'm asking you, do you know? How do they find that out? What do they do to the skid marks? They measure it. And then they use a formula. And then that formula has a K in it. They find what the K is, the braking factor or the skid factor, to tell how fast the car was going. That's when you use this kind of stuff with formulas, and you use it with something that is pretty much all the time. And that skid factor is pretty much all the time, no matter what kind of car you drive. Okay? So, in fact, I think there's a problem in the homework that talks about a van traveling so many miles per hour, it takes 30 feet to stop. How long does it take it if it's going 50 miles an hour? So anyway, that's that. We're finding K. Now, there's 2 or 3 types of problems in this section. One, I'm just going to give you the different types. One different type is plug and chug. The second type problem is plug and chug and find K. And the third type problem is plug and chug, find K, and then more info. All right. Chances are this will be your test question that I give you, because I'm only going to pick 1 or 2, except for what's the 6.3 and 6.5. 6.3 and 6.5 make up 80% of your test. So that means I'm only going to pick 1 or 2 questions out of those other sections. So if you don't know 6.3 and 6.5, you pretty much what? So yeah, pretty much. So 6.3 and 6.5 is what y'all should be really focusing on as far as homework. Let me check my questions. Oh, this will freak them out. I am going to be 2 places at one time. I'm gonna freak them out. Hold on just a minute. Y'all ever seen Iron Man, where he breaks into their billboards? I'm gonna break into their meeting. Let's see if I can do this. Yep. I don't think I can do it. Let's see if it's got it. Yes, the admin. I was gonna try to. I did that one time. It's cool. The guy was presenting Skype, and I went in and Skyped in on him while he was presenting, and my face popped up, and he's like, and he looked at me and said, "Hubert, what are you doing?" And I came in on the meeting, and he was presenting. It's cool. It's almost like Iron Man. All right, so write this down, and there's 3 types of problems. There's 3 different formulas you're going to use. Y is equal to K times X. That's direct variation. Y is equal to K over X. That's inverse variation. And then Y is equal to K X Z, and that's joint variation. And what will they tell you in the problem? They will tell you if it's inverse, direct, or joint, or it can be a mixture of the 2. Okay? Yeah, KXZ. Sometimes they use KXW, sometimes they use KX, whatever. Now, I'm sorry, I'm impressing people. Okay, so let me show you some questions. What chapter we in? 6? Is this 6, 4? And study time. Oh, these are busy problems right here. Okay? Now, read the question, and it says write the variation and find the quality indicator. R varies directly as S. So which one are you going to use? You're going to use direct. Now, which way do we read? We read left to right, correct? So this is what you do. You write the problem. R varies directly. You don't have to do this. You just kind of mentally do this as S. This right here tells you which formula to use. Y is equal to K times X. And then this tells you to take the R, the Y, and replace it with what? R. And what do we replace with the X? S. Which variable never, ever changes? K never changes. Because that's what you're trying to find. All of these problems, they're going to ask you different variables. All you do is read from left to right. This one goes in for the Y. This one goes in for the X. And now, you've taken care of this. This is what you've done. Knock that out. That's gone. You don't need that anymore. Now, what's the only thing to do now? Plug in what? And it says R, well, R is by itself, so this is one of those, this is the first type problem that I told you, it's just plug and chug, you don't do anything. So R is equal to, S is 7, and K is what? 13, and that's going to be 91. Somebody help me out. So that's the first type problem, plug and chug. You need to make a note of that. And they're going to ask you what the variation is, and you need to make a note. You need to say, no yawning. R is equal to K times S. That's what they're wanting. And then they're going to ask you what's the quantity, and then you say it's 91. That's the first type question. Let's go find the second type question. All right, look at this one. H varies directly as L. If H is 20 and L is 20, determine blah, blah, blah. This is kind of like the third type question, but it has the second type in it also. I didn't see a second one. But go ahead and just ignore A and B. Just go ahead and, there's three parts to this question. The first part is H varies directly as what? That's the first part. The second part is this, finding K. The third part is more info. So there's three parts to this question. So get started on it. At least get through part 2. So, H varies directly as what? L, Hubert. That's right, class. So, 20 is equal to K times what? 40. So, what I need to solve for? K. So, how do I get rid of multiplying by 40? If I do it on one side, do it on the other. So K is equal to 1/2. Now what am I supposed to do with that K after I find it? Plug it back into the original. H is equal to 1/2 L. And these are capital letters, so you can make them capital. Capital letters in formulas is not the same as lowercase. My bad. So now we've done this. We've done this. So what's left? So what am I going to do? Plug and what? And what cancels? The 2 will cancel here and cancel here with what? The answer is. Now that's the kind of test question I would put on test. So you answer it. H is equal to K times L. Fantastic. H is equal to 1/2 times L. Oh, it wants the answer. That's it. All right. Notice this word right here. Okay? That is not the square root. That is the square. So I want you to put a little 2 right here, so you'll know it's supposed to be like whatever the variable is to the second power. Okay? Do not think of this as the square root. It is not the square root. I don't like the way that's written. Because students think square root. Do not, it's not square root. It's square. So try this one. Maybe a little bit challenging to you because it's a different type of problem. So, y varies directly as the square of r. So first of all, y varies directly as the square of r. So y varies directly is what we're going to use. But y is going to stay the same, but what is x going to turn into? Big R. And then what are we going to do to r? That takes care of this. Now what? 8 is equal to k times 7 squared. So 8 is equal to k times 49. Divide by 49. K is equal to 8 over 49. And what am I going to do with 8 over 49? Plug it back in and reduce that if possible, but the only thing that'll go into 49 is 7, unless I'm wrong. I think this going to stay the same. So y, we just did this. Y is equal to k, 8 over 49 times r squared. Now what? That's not rhetorical, I'm asking you all to do. Plug in 42. Well, 40 squared is 1600, right? So that's going to be a BA number. You can't reduce it because it's squared, so you might as well just pull out your calculator and do it. Y is equal to 8 over 49. Somebody multiply 42, raise 42 times 42. What do you get? Over 1. And I don't think, just do it, calculator, what do you get? Y is equal to what? $17.64 times 8 divided by 49. I think it's going to be that much. I'm sorry, what? That sounds better. 288 even? And then they say, find when R is, okay, we'll do that. So it looks like, which one? B, and then 288. And 288. That's it. And that's how you do variation and how you do formulas. Because the rest of them are going to be the same. Question?